Andre here for another video of the Ask Andre series, and today's question is from Josue Daniel. He has a few questions about how things work with an effects loop. So first of all, I would like to redirect you to an older video that I had about effects loops. So this should clear up a few things. But you're very specific in your question in the sense that you ask, how is it possible that you have some pedals going in front of the amp and then some other pedals going into the loop, and what's that, you know, and where are the pedals actually going to? And so let's clear it up for you just really quickly. The main pedals, the ones that are in front of the amp, just work as any other pedal you ever used, independently of whatever you do with the effects loop. You might not even have an effects loop, and you can still use the pedals in front of the amp. So you just come out of the guitar, go into your distortion pedal, or your wah pedal, or whatever it is that you have in front, and then that goes into the preamp. So that's the same as always. So the preamp does its thing, raises the volume of the input level, then it goes through the EQ of the amp, so your bass, mids and trebles, and so you modify the signal up to right before the power amp. Okay, so the preamp is what kind of shapes the sound. We're going to be simplistic a little bit here, but the preamp shapes the sound of your guitar and your amp and your pedals. It takes all that and then it has to send it to the power amp, which also colors the sound, but it's not as drastic as all this stuff before. So the power amp just kind of raises the power of whatever you're playing and gives you enough power to drive speakers. Okay, so that's, again, we're being quite simplistic about it, but this is pretty much the division. The preamp gives you the sound and the power amp gives you the power. Alright? That's how it works. So there's one option you have, if you have an effects loop in your amp, to plug in some other things. So in this case that you're asking about echo pedals and reverb pedals. So those pedals you can plug in between the preamp section and the power amp section. Right? That's what an effect loop is. It just lets you insert things between one stage and the other of the amp. The advantages of this I talk about in the other video, so I won't go over it again. Just very simply, it usually tends to sound a bit clearer. If you're playing a delay or a reverb, it sounds clearer and more defined when you go through the effects loop, alright, before going through all the stages of distortion. So once you have these pedals and you want to put them in the effects loop, how does it work? Well, the effects loop has an input and an output. What happens is this input and this output sit between your preamp and the power amp. So they're not called input and output, they're called send and return. All you have to do is, let's say you have one pedal and it's a delay pedal. The return of the amp, the send of the amp is like an output. So it will send the signal that comes from the preamp, it will send it out through this cable that goes from the send jack, it will go into the input of your pedal. So whatever signal you have in your preamp section will travel along the cable, reach your pedal, in this case it's an echo. The echo will work its magic and create an echo, and then the output of the pedal will have to go back into the loop, right? Because we have preamp, the loop, and the power amp. So we'll have to take this back to the amp. So from the output of the pedal, we go into the return of the amp, and now the signal goes from there into the power amp, drive your speakers, and you're set. Okay, so this is how it works. That's how you plug it in. Now, if you really don't know what this is about, it's possible that your amp doesn't have an effects loop. Right? In that case, don't worry too much about it. You can still get almost the same sound. It's not really a drastic difference. Just place your echoes and reverbs in front of the amp. If I can give you a bit of advice, use those pedals at the end of your chain. So have your wah, your distortions, all that stuff, and then at the end put your delays and echoes and choruses and stuff like that. Okay? So that's hopefully this should clear it up for you a little bit. Please go back and watch that effects loop video. They should have also quite a few interesting bits of information for you. So hope you like it, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.